Welcome back to Valencia for live coverage of the DreamHack ZOWIE Open Valencia 2016. We've already had our first day completed. Group stage 1 and 2 done. Round of 32 completed, but today, day 2, we focus on the round of 16. Our first match is already in the history books. TLO making his way through to the round of 8. Congratulations to Dario. Also, thank you very much to all of our sponsors, of course, to ZOWIE, to Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, Alienware, and Blizzard for their continued support throughout the DreamHack ZOWIE Open Series. Also, make sure you keep your tweets coming. Want to hear your predictions, want to see who you think might win the tournament, as well as the winners of the round of 16 using the hashtags DHOpen and WCS. We're going to get into our second game of the day very shortly, but first let's catch up with our panel and talk about the convincing victory for TLO.
I predicted a 3-1, and
you were spot on.
Wow. Luckily. I mean, any prediction you make, it's going to be lucky, right? But no, TLO, he's a smart guy, and to beat Verdi, there's a formula, because he does the same thing every time, and he seems to be the same in ZVP as well, and Dario figured him out. He did take a map loss where he was forced to play an uncomfortable style, so congrats to Verdi for that. But overall, Dario just showed that he is a superior player.
Rotterdam, where do you rate TLO now? Because he's in the top 8, he's beaten Verdi, which on paper you'd probably say, well, he probably should do. But when you take into consideration what he's already done in this tournament, beating Marine Lord, beating Harstam in the group stages, that's a big win for Dario.
Yeah, it is a big win, but it's also one of these kind of must wins, right? Like if you are TLO and you want to have deep runs in tournaments, you cannot complain when you run into a Verdi in the round of 16. That's pretty much as good as the draw is going to get. It's never easy because, like you said, like he defeated a couple of very good players on his way here. Yeah. Took out Fear in the round of 32, is also pretty difficult Protoss to beat. So obviously Verdi knows how to play, but still, you know, if you are Dario, you're supposed to win these kind of games or matchups in the round of 16.
Okay, so take a look at the bracket right now and show you where we are. And we've had our first game of the day. TLO advancing in to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. He will play the winner of our next matchup, which will be Major versus Sortof. Second half of today, of course, features some crazy games as well. Hydra Neve on the bottom half of the bracket and Stefano Marine Lord at the end of the day. So plenty to come throughout the day. In fact, let's why don't we show you the schedule for the day as well, or schedule. I'm still not sure what that's supposed to be, you know. Schedule? Schedule? I don't know. Whatever. You know what I mean. It's the roster for what we're doing today, and it looks like this. Rail versus TLO already in the history books, as we said. TLO winning 3-1. Major Sortof next up, and the one after that will be Nurcio versus Drogo. Plenty of StarCraft 2 action coming throughout the day as we bring you the entire round of 16, which has pleased Rotterdam no end.
You know what I'm very sad about, Paul? We will not have 40 games. The best we can ever get is 39.
Well, it depends, because Todd's already pointed out that there have been a few draws recently.
Oh, yeah.
So we can still...
Guys, let's do it, baby. Let's still go for 40.
The 40-game hype is still there. It's still
exactly.
There. Okay, we're going to get into our next game very shortly, so let's start discussing our two erstwhile champions of previous majors. It is Major, and it is Sortof. Two great players going head-to-head for only the second time in their long careers. Incredible when you think about it. We'll start off with Major. I mean, this guy normally, gents, doesn't travel very well. That's the first thing to say about him. But we're actually going to start with Sortof anyway.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Sortof, man. He's been around for a long time. He once upon a time made it to the top 8 of the NASL.
Top 4.
No, that's top 4 even, yes.
He beat Hyun in the top 8.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that's Asian history. After that, I really thought he was going to be the next big thing. Even went to Korea, but it just got awfully silent. He was on Alliance for a while, didn't really work out. Almost felt like he was retired, and he was still playing some ladder, but Heart of the Swarm was just not his game. However, Legacy of the Void, it seems to suit him a lot better, and I think since the start of the year, he looked in the mirror and he said, Richard Bergman, you are gonna do your best this year. This is everything or nothing. I'll give you one more year. You there in the mirror, you've got one more year. Let's do it. It's now or never, and it's really, you know, it's starting to show.
Yeah,
he's just improved so much.
He's just inside that top 20 as well, so WCS points are really crucial for him. His opponent today, however, is a man that just, as I said before, doesn't travel well. I've remembered several tournaments in the past where he was supposed to go and didn't even go in the end because he hates the flying, he hates the traveling, and even when he does get to these kind of tournaments, he never performs, and a lot of it is down to the way did he travel? Piggy, you've travelled all over the world and from a long way away. You're on a giant island in the middle of nowhere. So talk to me, what is it like for these guys when they have a travel problem?
I know, especially with Major, you know, from Mexico, not as many direct flights, unfortunately, but it can really mess you up. And I mean, Major's always had so much talent. Every single tournament we hear from the players, he's the best Terran practice partner right now. And he's had this, you know, this habit so many times where back in WCS America in the day, he would beat like the Polt or the really crazy good player, especially in TvT, and then in the rematch he'd lose in the elimination match. And that's happened so many times for him. I mean, he's just got to kind of keep it together and somehow find a way to recreate in his mind, in his little setup on his table, the situation he's got at home. Because online, at home, he plays so damn well, but I don't know, he's got to figure something out to keep his head in the game.
I've got one question for you, Pig. Like, whenever you're the best player of your country, right, do you get extra motivated when suddenly other players in your own country like start catching up, and some people you say like, hey, he may not even be the best Latin American player anymore? Do you think that fueled the fire a little bit more for Major?
I think so, yeah. Like it definitely kind of, you've always got that to go back on. You're like, well, you know, I haven't really done well in a tournament for a while, but I'm the best player in my country.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can tell your friend that, and it sounds cool, but when someone else starts coming up, then it starts to get a lot more competitive, and you've really got that pride on the line.
We are looking at the maps right now, but I think a lot of people would even say that Calazur has been outperforming Major for the last year and a half. Obviously, Calazur is from Brazil, but, you know, they're both grouped together in those Copa Americas.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben? Calazur or Major?
They played very recently, and I think Major like 3-0'd or 4-0'd.
Yeah, and they played in the group stage as well, obviously.
Oh, wait, no, I think Calazur...
They were in the same group.
They dodged, though, right? Because Calazur actually lost a map to the
because he lost his
Spaniards
opening
at
match, and then he still went through in second
Yeah,
place.
so-
So yeah, they did actually dodge in the groups, you're right.
Calazur has definitely been stepping it up, and Calazur is one of these people that I look at his ladder statistics, and he doesn't have a lot of games, but it's always a very high win ratio. So he's obviously good, but Major's better. Like right now, current form, Major's just very, very good. And if he can translate what he shows in practice, because he's one of the guys that will replicate a Korean down to a T perfectly. He's exceptionally fast. One thing that has always kept Major a little bit back, besides travel, is like his micro can sometimes be a little bit off. Like he's almost like the old Gumiho, where he's doing so much around the map that maybe doesn't focus as much as he should in one area or another. But Legacy of the Void definitely supports that style, doing more things at one time. So I think this is the expansion where Major can do the best, honestly.
Okay, time for predictions, Rotterdam, very quickly.
I'm still leaning towards Sortof. I really feel that he's on fire. The way that he played last week in Challenger, like I can't get it out of my head. That was the best Sortof I've seen in many years, maybe ever. So, but this is going to be a very close series. Like this is an awesome series. I think a lot of people at home probably look at this like this sort of Major, you know, like might be fun. No, this is actually really good. Like this is going to be as good as Foreign StarCraft almost gets.
All right, Ben, very quickly, predictions.
3-2 either way, but I'm going to go with Major.
Okay, Pig.
Yeah, 3-2, it's going to be a nail-biter, but I've got Sortof. You know, I think Queens are going to help him out defend those drops that little bit easier. I think Sortof has got the big stage experience. He's brought it to land before. Not that frequently, but he's done it before. Major never really has.
Okay, so there's the predictions. It is a split decision on the panel this time round between
What do you think,
Sortof and Major. What do I think? I don't know. I mean, Major's a Terran. Terrans win, right? So Major for me. Let's head over to the commentary team for this one. It is the Muslim and Rotterdam. Take us away.
Well, they don't win currently, Paul, but yes, going to the series, we will be looking at Sortof, and we are starting off on one of the new maps, and this is one of the new maps that I'm actually not comfortable with as a Terran player, but Major's been telling me all about it. Anyway, spawning in the bottom right of Apotheosis, it is Sortof.
A map that reminds us a little bit of Belcher, Vestige, and maybe even Ohana to some degree. Like I don't think it's terribly different, but
no, definitely a Belcher Vestige feeling for sure.
Absolutely. Over here on the left top side, we're looking in the main base of the man that's representing Invasion Esports. It is, of course, Juanito, also known as Major. Lovely guy. He's always fun. He's always cheerful. Online, he can be a little edgy, but offline, he's always one hell of a character to have around. And it just seems like everybody enjoys spending some time with Major. Not too much, just like sometimes.
A little bit, you know.
Yeah,
you can get a little bit too much of like
Pokemon
being linked to his Pokemon battles. Like, hey, watch me play. It's like, okay, Major, I just watch you switch Pokemon for 30 minutes. Like, let's go. But no, truly, a very talented individual. He's very, very fast. That's always been his strength. And
so excited
his ability to replicate build orders. But this matchup in particular, both these guys vie for like being one of the best of their races respectively in the foreign scene.
Yep, I think they're both very underappreciated players at the moment. There were times that Major did get all the credits he deserved, But then he let down a couple of events, or he just didn't really show up in the way that people expected him to show up. Then I think he canceled 1 or 2 events, and from that moment on, it kind of felt like the candle got pretty much blown out, and it was just like, there was not much left of the hype that was once upon a time around Major. Still, like, the pros will obviously always have him in high regards, but in the eyes of the community, he fell off because he just didn't perform.
It's hard to support a player and keep your faith in a player that keeps letting you down.
Absolutely.
And not even necessarily down to playing bad, just not playing sometimes, or just, some event would happen that would stop him from playing. But
yeah, he's also not a streamer. He's not somebody that shows up in every small online cup. So there was just a time we didn't see that much of Major, but he's still very good, especially right now. And then, of course, Sortof on the other end is playing the best StarCraft out of his career at the moment, and that just makes this a very, very exciting matchup for, I think, especially the diehard StarCraft fans. But I'm still sure that even if you don't watch that much StarCraft, that this series will deliver. It should be very competitive and very close.
And one thing that's special that we have to talk about, these guys are practice partners, which to practice with Major, you have to be good. And to practice with Sortof, currently, you have to be good. These guys know each other very well. So mind games may be a part of this series. And in fact, most likely will be. But both these guys do like to stick to what is macro, pure macro, sticking to the basics. So we're going to see some real top-level TvZ in this series, and probably some new stuff since the patch only hit roughly a week ago, and new maps.
Yep, Sortof did mention that he didn't really practice on these maps all that much. Reaper almost gets picked off, 3 HP, but it will survive for now. Sortof said, I was so focused on Challenger, I really wanted to do well in Challenger, and he did, absolutely did. Only lost to the winner, Showtime in a close series, 2-3. Other than that, he
beasted through everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, I think he had a close series against Namchar, but that's ZVZ, and Namchar is also a very strong Swedish Zerg.
But against everybody that you kind of thought, oh, Petit Drogo? Oh, he'll take out Sortof. No, Sortof beasted him.
Or Velmo,
3-0. 3-0.
Yep. So Sortof was really good, but he, like I said, he was only playing on the Dust Towers, the arenas, he was still playing a lot on the old maps. So he's not super familiar or super comfortable with some of these newer maps. Major, on the other end, had slightly more time to focus on this.
Well, luckily, Major's a custom game god.
Yep.
So he was instantly practicing all these new maps. And fortunately for me, he's one of the guys that he likes to share what he knows, because he finds out from the Koreans very quickly.
Excellent scout there, spotting the tech lab on the starport.
And he doesn't see an upgrade on that tech lab either, which does insinuate, hey, it's probably not a Banshee. Why would you make a Banshee, especially in this current patch with a Queen buff that can own Banshees?
How many Liberators do we have on the other side of the map? I believe there's already 1 or 2 out, right? Or is that the first one?
That's the first Liberator on the field.
Cool.
And Liberators, they are worse since expansion, but if we look at these new bases of the Zerg, is there any way that you can really abuse?
No.
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think there are too many sweet spots here. Maybe we can take a look at behind the turret. No, that's...
Not particularly. I mean, Queens can always, maneuver around it.
Yeah, and also, obviously, if the Liberator would commit, it's actually pretty hard to get out of there. There's not too much dead space around the bases. So the Queens can pretty much get 1 or 2 more hits off before it... I like what Dario said there. It's not just when the Liberator or the White Prism flies in, it also has to fly out. So there's 2 opportunities for the new Queen to do more damage. And it makes a very, very big difference. Let's see if Major can find an opening here in the defense of Sortof. Let's see if Major can pick up a nice couple of drone kills, or if Sortof is rock solid.
Okay, I love this Liberator. And the fact that these Hellions have kept these Queens busy on the left side of the map, Major's then taken his opportunity and just ran in with the Liberator.
This is not good at all.
No, this is terrible for Sortof. Major's going to run into this mineral line and already dealing a lot of damage. 5 drones, 6 drones. That number's going to keep escalating. The Liberator's still going ham here.
Oh my God, all the drones!
And the Queen even falls.
Wow, this is an absolute massacre. 13 workers have gone down and a few more will fall. The Liberator is still alive. Sportcrawler will finally take care of it. Even the Reaper is helping out a little bit. 22 workers have gone down. Sortof just not being ready for this at all. The door was wide open. He couldn't deal with the Liberator in the main base, and this is just a disaster.
And while all this went on, so 22 drones did fall. Did you ever see Major's minerals go above 200? Because I did not. 5 Marines constantly in production off those 3 barracks. Still SCVs making the 3rd. It's done as well. It's an orbital command. Upgrades much faster than Sortof, despite the engineering base being later. So Major, he's on form here.
What I would really like to see, though, is Major to keep his foot on the pedal and just go for it.
Tempo.
Yeah, you want to keep on the pressure. You don't want to give Zerg the time to recover after you took out this many workers. Because if you look at the work count right now, it's not even that bad. It's 49 against 48. Obviously, supply is in favor of Major, and Major has slightly quicker access to the units that he really wants to have. So it's super important, that he keeps on going. Don't lose momentum.
You're totally right. And we spoke to quite a few good Zergs. Even Snoop said, hey, yeah, it's tempo-based. This matchup can snowball out of control. One thing that Sortof does have on his side, he went for an exceptionally greedy build. Yes, he was punished. But the fact that Major's third was a little bit later because he opted for so many Hellions in the Liberator and the Tech Lab, he wanted to provide misinformation.
But it's a gold, though.
It is a gold.
Yeah.
And look, in fact, look at these supplies, 100 to 70. It should never be at this stage.
Look at the supply.
How many drones have totally died this game? It must be around 30 now. 27. Oh, that's a real wounder. And this +1 finishing. And he Sortof's even getting the melee upgrades while he's having to invest in roaches to try and defend.
He wants to play a nurture type of style, I guess, but he just lost way too many drones to play anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, after you lose 27 drones, it's already not a nurture style, you know?
Nurture loses 27 drones in a series.
Yeah, exactly. No,
of 8 games.
It's kind of... Oh, I love that bunker placement, because you only actually need like 5 gases fully functioning, depending on which style you play.
Yeah, I think this is the beginning of the end. I mean, Major is walking across the map. Obviously, Sortof is going to do his absolute best to hang in there, but he just doesn't have the units right now to deal with 37 Marines.
No cancel either, so...
Wow, this is a rough start for Sortof. I think the best thing you can do is just shake it off. This is obviously a map that he didn't have a whole lot of practice on yet.
Clean slate. This was warm-up.
A warm-up that doesn't matter on the scoreboard, but the Marines moving forward, and Sortof knows it as well. GG Major, just smooth sailing in game 1.
You know, this was... I hope that Major can keep this up. And I say that because we don't often get to see Major do what he does in practice. We hear about this guy being absolutely amazing, but we don't often get to see him perform it. Yesterday, he had a pretty smooth sail to where he was right now. I don't think he's dropped too many maps, if any maps, actually. Played in Zane in the top 32, a Terran player, so what a comfortable way for him to warm up. Missed Kellersure in the group. That's a very nice way to sail through those groups as well. So I don't think Major's actually dropped a map yet. I could be very wrong.
No, I mean, this was excellent. This is the way you want to start a best of 5. I don't think he even revealed all that much. I mean, what was it? 6 Hellions and a Reaper and into Liberator. Like, that's
it wasn't a cheeky opening.
No.
It wasn't like he could do that again.
What do you think? Where did it go wrong for Sortof? Was he just completely caught off guard? The Queens were out of position, let the door open?
He tried to drone up the third. And I mean, it's a new map, so you can kind of get your drone positioning wrong. If this was a map like Dust Towers, having most of your Queens at the front with a few lings, that's fine. But having this with your Queens all the way over to the left, it meant the Liberator just went to the main, did damage. Then these Hellions snuck into the natural, then snuck into the main. With all these Queens then chasing, these are the guys that turned up to the party an hour late. In fact, they turned up to the party 5 hours late. The party's already done and dusted. 22 drones down. And by the end of this hack, 24 drones down. It was just misplay by Sortof. And he went for a very greedy build, which you can often get away with, but just didn't work out here. And
I love the mobility on the Liberators as well. He didn't make the mistake that you sometimes see where they just siege up one Liberator and then the Spore repositions and the Spore just kills it. And it's always like, oh man, like that could have actually done more. He really made it as hard as possible for Sortof to keep up on all fronts. You know, make sure that the Queens are chasing, make sure you reposition the Spore over and over again. Make sure you're still building stuff during all of that. And Major, like you said, you know, the minerals never spiked up, always had units of production, the upgrades were well on their way. That was just an awesome opening by Major, and everything went his way.
And that is very pivotal. We saw in Bunny series yesterday, a lot of people have been deterred from using the Liberator now because of the Queen buff. But one Liberator can cause so much commotion, even if it kills like 1 or 2 drones, but it makes you reposition. You have to use your Queens differently. But in every game in this series, I pretty much guarantee that Major will produce just one Liberator just for that, forcing his opponent to make more moves than he has to himself.
Well, the second map is a map that Sortof is obviously a lot more comfortable with, as he has played it most likely hundreds, if not at least 1,000 times. It is Frozen Tempo. We're looking at the main base of our Swedish Zerg. He's down 0-1. It is a Sortof.
And you know,
Bergman.
that is one map that did not go his way. I hope that Sortof, upon taking a savage beating like that, he gets back into the series.
Yeah, but I really do think that that's the most unique map as well out there. I mean, obviously Gettysburg is a very unique map, but it's also a very passive map. The other map is obviously a map that you need practice on because there's a lot of attack paths, and if you're new to it, I mean, yeah, he played it yesterday, but still.
You are very right. If there is one map that you can get caught off guard and have your units positioned kind of poorly, yeah, that is it. Anyhow, spawning in the top left as our blue Terran playing for Invasion, it is Major.
Koka really wanted us to introduce Major. He's like, guys, I'm spinning the camera.
I'm sorry, Coca.
Any time right now, like Coca's like looking at us, making angry faces.
If it was Funker, though, I'd have really known about it, you know, just by the cursor positioning and such.
I think Coca has been doing a phenomenal job. I think he's making a big
That's
statement.
why we can, like, bust his balls a little bit over it, you know.
Like, if we can make jokes with Coca, that means that, you know, we're not
That's
comfortable.
the thing. When you're a friend with somebody, then you can insult them. Like, don't just insult somebody that's not your friend.
That's
so
true
Coca,
friendship. I mean, the Muslim has not said anything nice to me in 7 years, and still like him.
as if. I always compliment you.
You come in my stream every day, and then you make fun of my micro, my macro.
But I come in your stream, and I've been a loyal sub for 16 months or something.
I have been like 15 months to you. Like,
well,
I can't
more
catch
than
up.
you.
Yeah, it's hard to catch up, you know, when you have a month head start.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up you in age for a long time, but I just can't do it, Kev. Like, anyhow, scouting with an SCV is unusual. And there is a reason, like, the Reaper will see everything that this SCV will see, but this is just like a safety SCV to make sure that you're not getting one base all-in or whatever. So the fact that Major's playing this careful, you sacrifice a little bit of economy. That tells me that Major's very confident in this matchup. And even though we heard Mechanics on the couch yesterday saying, oh, he doesn't mind playing Major, he's like, you know, he's comfortable. I don't think he is. Major's so good in this matchup, man. Like, this is the matchup. Even though TvT is his thing, he's only possibly going to meet one other Terran right now, because there's only one other Terran currently in, which is Marine Lord, and that would be in the final. But Major's TvZ is phenomenal. If you are a Terran, watch Major, copy his builds. He's so good.
You know, I had one question about the SCV scout. I think it also helps if you're a Terran and you don't scout with the SCV and you just wait for the Reaper. If the Reaper makes his way across the map and you face an early pool where they sneak 4 Zerglings around the map and they work on the SCV building your CC, that's super annoying, right?
It's super annoying, and maybe Mechanics has done that to him in practice once or twice.
Mechanics, of course, a nickname in the European scene for Sortof, for the people who don't know.
I mean, it should be his real nickname, honestly. Like, it's he's so well known for it now.
Did you read the Team Liquid preview article? They actually said that he had great strategies, but not very good mechanics.
I mean, people that still read those Team Liquid articles and think they're going to be accurate, yeah, you should have realized they were wrong like 3 years ago. But yeah, Mechanics Bergman is Mechanics Bergman because he's just got really good mechanics. Also, it was kind of a joke a long time ago. I think he spoke to Naniwa, and Naniwa asked him, like, oh, how did something go? And Sortof was like, oh, yeah, you know, I relied on my mechanics. And then obviously Naniwa was like, oh, your mechanics, hey? And it became quite a joke. But
never make a humble brag to Nani. He will not forget.
You will never live it down. But going into this game, Hellion's being made, a medevac. It looks like it's going to be a Marine Hellion.
I like the Overlord speed by Sortof. I really think it's excellent. I think it gives you just all the right tools that you need. Normally, I mean, not in the last game, but in most scenarios, it gives you all the right information that you're looking for. And you shouldn't take too much damage. And I think personally, as a Terran or a Protoss, you always want to keep things hidden a little bit from the Zerg. And it's a minor investment, but I feel like it's impossible to hide anything when they have Overlord speed.
You're right. To gather complete information for 100, and you can continue to do that throughout the game. You can also keep your Overlords alive.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I think, also a super important thing. There's obviously no armory over here, so these Hellions will not morph into a Hellbat. Gotta be careful with that medevac. Major is taking a lot of damage.
Oh, and look at it, still taking damage.
Baby.
This is already, has it done the damage that Major wanted to do?
No.
Actually, no. He's looking to bait these Lings. These Lings don't need to be here right now. This army cannot kill that hatchery very quickly at all.
It's not doing anything. One thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that Sortof, I believe, forgot one of his upgrades. Now, there it goes. It starts +1 melee. It's just a little bit later, but this was excellent. This was flawless. This is the way that Sortof deals with any sort of aggression on a map that he's very familiar with. He lost nothing, Ben.
Oh!
The Queen from downtown on the ramp getting that one final hit off.
Man, I wish I could think of a famous sniper's name right now because that Queen was it.
Cal... Damn it, what's the American sniper? Cal something? But you can also
when you say Cal, I just think of Khal Drogo, so I'm completely wrong.
No. I forgot his name. I actually read the book. I can't believe I forgot his name. Doesn't matter.
Dang.
It's a movie with Bradley Cooper, you know?
Yeah, I like that movie, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty
Not bad.
sick. No, it's pretty sick.
But going into this game, that's already a great start, and this Liberator has been shunned. Like, it's on 50 health, 0 kills. This is a completely different game by Sortof. His defense has been impregnable.
Yep. I mean, and this has everything to do, once again, with this as being a map that he's very comfortable on. I think Overlord speed helped a little bit, knowing exactly what he was up against. Queens were in the right position. I mean, we said it before, Apothesis, or however we're going to pronounce the name of that new Belgian Vestas map. I think that's a map that you definitely need 5-10 games on to make sure you know how units can come in, where you have to position your queens in particular. And I think as a Protoss, you know, it's going to take some time. Where do I put my observers? Where do I want to have my pylons? These are just things that come naturally over time, but the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times you play a map, like, yeah, you're still looking for the right answers.
You'll probably agree with me here. On new maps, the aggressor always has the advantage because it's much easier to learn how to attack than it is to learn how to defend.
Absolutely.
And so Terran is the race that currently plays the attacking role. Besides TVP,
no, but I think even in TVP, you know, as a Protoss, you want to know where the units are coming from, where medevacs
the most
fly
likely
in.
paths. Yeah.
No, and absolutely. Like, I think half of defending is having or seeing it come in advance. Like, seeing things come in advance makes defending anything 100 times easier in StarCraft. I mean, these queens, this looks very interesting what Major is doing, but you know, these queens are probably not going to die. You got to be very careful with your medevacs. If one of these medevacs would get picked off while it's carrying a tank, that would just be an absolute disaster. But so far this game, how game 1 started off as a disaster for Sortof, I wouldn't call this an absolute disaster, but this is not going well for Major.
Losing the medevac with all your units in is actually a disaster, honestly.
Okay, Ben.
Like, I hate for you to say something and then for me to say, no, you're wrong, but like, that is not how you want that harass to go. That harass was designed to force mistakes. He also really wanted to eliminate that ling count, but sort of never committed with the lings. And you remember, like, these guys are practice buddies, so I wonder if this is just a build he hasn't done to him before, but sort of actually handling it very well.
Medevac still on HP. A couple of Liberators are going to keep these tanks safe from units on the ground, but it's still kind of... I'm not sure if I'm fancying what Major is doing here. At least he will clean up a little bit of creep, but he's going to be so careful. If those Ravagers should go via the north side and try to land a couple of balls, and then the rest of the army could engage on the tanks and the medevacs.
You're totally right. Oh, don't run across the queens.
The medevacs, one of them is probably going to get picked off.
Oh, very good retreat, very good retreat. He retreated just in time. Didn't deal too much damage, but denied the creep spread for a little while. And that's really important because the spot that you really want to attack as a Terran here, you move down this portion of the map and through the rocks here.
Oh, did he stop? I think actually a couple of the medevacs stopped on the left side at the same time. There's a minor drop in the... Yeah, he killed the medevac, right?
Oh, no. So, and that overlord speed's coming in handy. You spend 25 on a drop.
He lost both?
Oh my god.
Wow, yeah, he stopped. Major stopped the medevacs on the left side. He lost both medevacs and both tanks.
Oh, this is going dreadful. Like, what?
I think Major just got caught off guard. This is sort of dropping just a couple of units in the main base. Major not paying attention.
Oh,
well, this is sick, pretty sick harass.
This is Top Gun style, harassing every base with these Liberators.
But still, though, I think he's just going to end up losing all of them.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, these queens...
He used the Ravagers for the bottom Liberator, and that would be the right move, because the queens are taking care of the top Liberator. Like, this looked really cool, but in the end, I don't think it did all that much.
You know, this is a tempo-based matchup, and unfortunately, the traction just never stuck with our Terran player here, and losing...
The tanks, the medevacs, the Liberators.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the units lost...
No armor upgrade either on the way.
Look at those expensive units. Like, losing a couple of Marines or Hellions, that's whatever. But 3 medevacs, 5 Liberators, and 2 tanks, those are units that you're not supposed to lose. I mean, you can always end up losing a Liberator or 2, but the medevacs, that's inexcusable.
And, you know, he's not equipped to deal with what Sortof currently has. Never mind what Sortof will have. And yeah, run by is always nice. Even though it won't deal much, it just keeps the Terran at bay, which is what he wants. He's investing in chitinous plating. He's getting... Oh, this is a nice drop, though. I don't know how he manages to get this one in. But he does. Oh, and a counter drop by Sortof.
I like these drops, man. I really like that one drop alert, and this all goes back to researching overload speed in the beginning of the game. Just one more tool you have in your arsenal as a Zerg player. Like you said, this drop is nice, but Sortof is going to shut it down. There's no way this Ultralisk Cavern should ever die, and he actually killed 7 SCVs during all of this. Major is going to move a couple of troops on the right side of the map. We'll clean up a few of those creep tumors, but he's got to be... Whoa, he's missing a lot. He's going to be very careful. I just feel that... Major is fighting an uphill battle, you know, sweeping leaves on a windy day, man. Like, he's gonna fight Ultralisk with Marines. I mean, last time I checked, chitinous plating is pretty good.
It's pretty darn good. And when you're on equal upgrades as well with the chitinous plating, the Marines deal 1 damage per hit. The Marauders don't really deal that much either. +3 starts, but +3 starts has +3 armor starts. So forever, these Marines will deal 1 damage per hit.
I love the Nidus. I think he's been doing that in Challenger as well. I was watching a couple of his games. I mean, if Sortof is in his element, I've been hyping him up a lot over here in the last few days, but if he's in his element while a couple of roaches just march straight into the death here, but it's all right, because he's going to get more Lings, more Ultras, more Infestors. But I really like the way that Sortof plays the game these days, where, you know, when he's settled, right, when he's on 4 bases, he's not wondering what to do. He's just doing everything, and I love it. He's looking for opening, he's pushing the pace, and, you know, he just gets stuff done.
I really saw this in Sortof's play yesterday as well. In the matchup, I didn't know, oh, this night is going to be really, really devastating. But in the game against Lilla Cannon, where he played mech, he just knew exactly what to do. His game plan was perfect.
Ooh, we got close to landing a very big fungal there. We'll still connect. Good job there by Major, having a couple of Marines in the main base, taking care of this Nidus. Sometimes it can be very tricky to see a Nidus go down in your main. It's a very small dot on your minimap, but well done by Major.
And it's still going to deal damage. And he's planting another Nidus there too. If you have one Ultra come out, by the way, that is so hard to deal with. One of the best Niduses you can do is, and look at this single
This Ultra ain't gonna die.
He is Rocky Balboa, taking out all those units. Another Nidus in the main, pressuring the third of Major as well, with a very large army.
I mean, Sortof is everywhere now, with a lot of very strong units, very well upgraded units. A couple of Fungos will land and connect with most of these Marauders and Marines. He's trying to get the right position on these Ultras. Look how tanky and beefy they are. I like this, though, by Major, still attacking on the other side of the map as well.
This Liberator is sick as well.
Yeah, that's sick.
But there's Corruptors out in the field. I like this idea with the Liberators, because dealing with a Liberator at each base is incredibly hard.
Good hold by Major, man.
I don't know how he held this, actually.
No, I thought the game was about to end. I mean, he's still down 40-50 supply. But the fact that Major, after such a rough start where almost nothing went his way, is still putting up a pretty damn decent fight, I think that promises a lot of good for the rest of the series.
They're both doing the right things. This army keeps getting scarier and scarier. These Niduses also continually, like, how is Major going to take a 5th base?
I would like to see the Nidus a little less, you know, tucked away in the corner and just put it on top of the production so that every Ultra spawns is right on top of those barracks.
Oh, this is a good drop. If you have like one Ultra...
Look, it's stuck.
That is very stuck. Move out the way, roaches. Okay, there we go. There we go. The Ultra can get to work. That's a lot of Liberators. They are going to clean up this job. He should just run out of here.
Yeah, I think he could have tried to. At the same time, he's attacking the 3rd base. It's very exposed.
And the 4th.
Oh, good
Sortof's everywhere. Oh, man. This is great play by Sortof. And how does Major cope with this right now? He's had a deficit, a big, big deficit. Liberators are joining the fray, but...
This feels like you're playing one of those campaign missions where there is Zerg coming from every... Zerg is coming from every angle, and you know they have way too much money and it's unfair, but all you have to do is just survive, hang in there a little longer. That's kind of what Major is trying to do here.
42 SCVs.
You know that a game is spiraling out of control when attacking is not even anything that you're thinking of. You're just defending left, right, and center and your main, and it's just so incredibly difficult to do anything remotely aggressive on the other side of the map.
That's why I have to compliment Major a little bit. Like, we're seeing Liberator go on. We even saw him take out the 5th base and such while he was under such like grave threat. So yeah, as you said, it gives me hope for the rest of the series. While this game definitely in Sortof's favor, and this is the last push by Major, but this army is very, very counterable. A nice Fungal does land. That's a lot of Ultralisks as well, but Sortof still playing very patient against
Yeah,
this.
I think Sortof should just take his time. There's no need to dance in those liberation zones. I mean, it wouldn't be the first game that somebody has ever thrown against Liberators. He's still going to push in now. He's got a couple of Corruptors working on those Liberators, slowly taking them out one by one. And of course, the Ultras take care of everything on the ground. GG, Sortof evens up the score.
That was a much, much more convincing game by Sortof. He shut down the initial harass, which he didn't do the first game. The medevac fell apart.
Yeah.
That can be much attributed to the recent patch, I guess. Those Queens don't normally have that range. And Major, you saw what he was trying to do. He tried to get to the main with that drop, but so risky.
But even before that, the Queens were just in the right position and already identified what was happening. And I mean, the difference spoke for itself. 0 drones lost, previous game 27 drones lost. And you saw it a little bit later as well. When Sortof right now at 140 supply, Major was at 95. The previous game, Major was at 105 and Sortof was at 70. I mean, this is a completely different ballgame.
And one thing that I have to commend Sortof on is he didn't commit with his Lings at all, because there was no need. You know how it takes a very long time for a hatchery to die to, like 4 or 5 Marines and like 6 Hellions, not in Hellbat form. So he knew he had time, no reason to overcommit, and that's what a lot of players do. They don't realize how much time they have. Sortof knew exactly how much time, and he even murdered the medevac, which meant, hey, I can drone up now to good 70, 80 drones and be in a very comfortable position here. 76 drones.
I like that one hero Ultra. He's like, let's go, baby. I've got health insurance for days.
13 kills.
European Ultra, for sure.
European Ultra? Yeah, definitely not NA.
I mean, I love the multitasking that's sort of displayed throughout this game. Fungals connecting with units left and right and just applying pressure on multiple occasions. Not, you know, not being tunnel vision, not trying to break one, you know, a very sieged up position. And Major, you know, all credit to him. He was still trying to. Yep, he was still trying to put up one hell of a fight. But in the end, the mechanics of this man, Mr. Bergman, were too much to deal with. He's a. Hey, Coca, come on. I'm hyping it up, but what are you doing, Coca? Damn. Ben, I lost my mojo. You take it away. I'm upset.
Man, I hate to mend a sinking ship, but here I am. So spawning in the top right, as our Reds currently 1-1 in series, it is Sortof.
Maybe I think what happened is that the production probably told Coca, like, hey, we're going to
I think they messed up Coca.
Yeah. This one
Coca doesn't mess up.
That's true. All right, over here. They did, yeah. They probably said blue first. All right, over here on the right bottom side, we're looking at the main base of our Mexican Terran player. It is, of course, a Major representing Invasion eSports.
One true Juan.
Yeah,
there he is.
That one was on me. I just made things awkward for Coca. Man, I feel bad.
It's okay.
It's teamwork after all, man. Like we
carried it.
I gotta sync up better with my observer. I take this one on me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're taking it?
Yep.
I'll blame you too then. Okay.
That's fine.
You know, the starts of these games have been fairly similar in the way that they've opened. Sort of being the defender, Major's being the aggressor. That's how TvZ is going. And the change has been recently that Queens, yes, they're better. The Spore Crawler change went through too, right?
Yep.
And I'm still curious as to why Major feels in fact, I know why. The Liberator is still an exceptionally good unit, which we saw him use in the first game to full effect and actually did a lot of damage. Was that down to sort of not reacting, or was it down to Major just
a combination of both?
Forcing chaos on every side.
I think it was a combination of both, but I really think it has mostly to do with sort of just being completely new to the map and just not, you know, not having the experience of knowing where to put his units in the right place.
Big deal. Okay, what you love to do with that Overlord, and I mean, in fact, yeah, he even runs away. In fact, wow, kind of odd play. As soon as you reveal that Overlord, the Terran knows where you spawn. On a 4-player map, big disadvantage, or big advantage that you kind of threw away. That Reaper could potentially go the wrong way.
I think that was an SCV already, though, on the right top side.
Yeah, there was. I don't tend to SCV. I don't really see SCV scouts that often. The main reason you SCV scout is just to make sure, hey, that he's not one-basing me, which we see that this game he isn't. And
they probably SCV scout you a whole bunch, aren't they?
I don't know what you're saying, but against a player like Sortof, you can pretty much guarantee that he's probably not going to one-base all in you. I don't want to call it predictable, but this is a matchup where you don't have to make those risks.
Once again, we don't really know what the players know about each other, especially not if they play custom games. I mean, no matter how much we try to prepare for a tournament as a caster, we cannot look into their custom games. There is a good chance that Sortof multiple times, you know, squeezed by 4 links, and then the Reaper showed up in the main base, and then 4 links start nibbling away on that SCV that's building that command center on the low ground, and then suddenly everything is delayed quite a bit. So it could really be that Major is just a little bit paranoid, or he hates dealing any sort of ling opening like that.
And Major keeps resorting to Hellions. We see a lot of Terrans these days go for like the Marine Widowmine drop or even the Stim drops with like 2 medevacs.
I like those, the TVP opening that became popular in TvZ as well.
Yeah, they're very cool openings. Here we see Speed kick in. The third, it's going to be at a decent time. Overlord Speed, so it's a very safe opening. This is very similar to what Snoot was doing yesterday in his... Which series was that? Snoot against Bunny, even. Very streamlined, very safe opening. You're not going to take damage. You're going to get your third up pretty decently.
Snoot made so many queens. I mean, we saw Sortof make quite a few queens in both of his games, but he kind of stops at a respectable number, 5 or 6. I mean,
respectable,
Snoot,
not a shameless number.
Snoot just plays shameless, and he makes it down and dirty, and he goes up with like 12 or 13 queens. And every non-Zerg player out there is just like, wow, this macro support unit is... pretty good.
What I love about Snoot on camera as opposed to off camera, he'll come to me off camera and be like, it's disgusting, CVT.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Snoot, why don't you say that on camera? He's like,
on camera, he's like, yeah, we really needed that queen buff.
Yeah. And then I'm like, what the hell? Why don't you say this off camera? He's like, well, I kind of like Zerg right now. I'm like, yeah, no wonder.
It's mostly, like in Korea, of course, Zerg was struggling against Terran a little bit, but in the European scene, and then of course some people will say like, well, you know, Europe is different level than Korea, but you know, traditionally over time, like it took a while before the Koreans started believing in Broodlord Infestor as well. Like that took them a couple of months after Nurcho and Stefano started winning every game with it.
Wait, this is a lot of Hellions out on the map. This is already 6. He's producing 7th and 8th, like they're already on the field and such.
Queens, man.
And at 9th,
He's sneaking a couple of links across the map. I do like that. I like this a lot. If these links can prevent this command center from finishing up, that would be great. And once again, this is something you mentioned, man. That's nice, but like you said, it still takes forever before Hellions can take out a hatchery, and I just don't see that happen anytime soon.
Do you think this could be mech from Major? I mean, I know I'm the Terran player.
Spire, by the way.
Spire. Oh. Triple starport. Oh my god. Okay. This is really bad for mechanics. Unless he goes mass corruptor straight away, then he can be in good shape. But
he has overlord speed. He's going to see everything, man. This is a great scout, an absolutely phenomenal scout. He's going to see that more Hellions were produced. I believe he saw those Hellions leave. If not, he at least sees all the starports. And I think he knows enough now. What do you think is the right answer? If you're a Zerg player, man, what do you recommend the Zerg to do?
Queens, Spores, Corruptors. Honestly.
Is the answer to anything not Queens these days?
No. Queens are never a bad choice, which... That's just a great unit to make, you know, there's never a bad time to make it. And that's that Sport's nice. And he sees the Spire, so that's a big deal.
These Liberators doing some serious work, by the way. This is actually costing sort of quite a bit. And if all these Hellions swing by, this is actually getting a little bit dicey. There are a couple of Queens over here. There are Hellions, or Zerglings, excuse me, trying to surround these Hellions as well.
Still getting some work done, though. And these Liberators, he does know the Spire. He knows the timing for when the mutas will...
This is good harass. Very, very good harass. I mean, 8 more drones went down. Liberator will finally get picked off, but still, though, look at the supply. I mean, Sortof is not even that rich. He doesn't have money saved up, and he's down 14, 15 supply.
I'm very curious.
Why is he making a muta?
I'm curious for a lot of things. Muta, they'll deal with the Hellions, but as soon as they run into Liberators, they are done.
I don't think mutas, I mean, I'm no expert, man, but I really do not think that... I think mutas are the last unit you want to make against multiple Liberators.
You know when you scout an opponent's base and they're making starports? Yes, you don't want to be making mutas. You want to be making the counter to what comes out of starports, which there's the potential for Viking, Banshee, Liberator. What deals with all of those very easily? Corruptors. Also, you'd make Corruptor, and you'd make air upgrades.
I'm pretty shocked. I mean, obviously, the mutas are going to help out quite a bit against these ridiculous amount of Hellions. There's no blue flame, though. Armory is about to finish up. So these Hellions could morph into Hellbats. The muta's going to help out quite a bit. But now the Liberators will start showing up. And what do you do?
Do you know what would win this game instantly? If there was an Armory, and he went Hellbats and Liberators, what would kill that? Besides, like...
Corrupt a queen.
I mean, a buttload of queens. But right now, with the supplies being what they are, 120 to 96?
Nothing. There is nothing over here. I do like that Zergling counter again. Even though Sortof doesn't have that many units to currently work with, he's down 20 army supply. He's still thinking about attacking. He has to be so careful with his military. That's a sick wall-off by Major. I love that even more. Well done.
Wow.
I didn't even see that.
The great wall of Juan. And... yeah, great wall off, and I mean that just deflected a counterattack. Now he can just send some Hellions over there because he knows they counterattack.
Liberation.
Oh, here we go. This is what I want to see from Major. Look at these mutas.
Good split though. Actually, the muta's doing pretty decent. The Queen's helping out a little bit as well. Hellbats are going to try to surround the Queen, but I think the mutas will actually deal with these Liberators for now, and then maybe the mutas eventually can clean up these Hellbats. A couple of roaches on the way as well. The counter is still happening. Sortof is actually dealing with this, man.
Sortof's dealing with this exceptionally well, and there's mutas still on the field. And
how many drones are going to go down?
18 SCV. It's only SCVs dying currently, but here the drones start falling.
Major, you gotta live this. He's really gotta live the orbital. If he ends up losing the orbital to Lynx, that would be an absolute catastrophe.
Oh no, I mean, it's already dipped so far that he has to repair it somehow, but this is...
Sick defense, absolutely phenomenal defense.
And what do you make now to clean up the Corruptor and the Muta? That army just became way, way scarier. Wow. Now there's Roaches joining the fray too, so you need units that can deal with those. Hellbats don't do it.
Sick decision to go for Mutalist, man. I was really questioning it. I was like, I mean, you know, I'm no expert. I don't play against this a whole lot myself and don't even see it that much. But going Muta seemed very risky, but it worked out phenomenally, and it really had to do with the way that he engaged those Liberators. He split the Mutalist up and he transfused them a couple of times when they started running low. And then at a certain point, the Liberator count just started dripping. Very, very well done by Sortof. Just great engagement, great splits.
It was good, but I feel that this is more down to Major just making mistakes. He knew that counter was on the map, but he left nothing at home to deal with, and not even a bunker or something to wall off the mineral line.
This orbital is starting to run very, very low. He's going to lift it up, which means that the Corruptors could maybe start working on it, but nope. Enough SCVs over here for now to repair this orbital. But Mechanics Bergman is starting to look pretty good. Has to be careful with his Mutalist now. Ends up losing all 4 of them very quickly. But I guess he felt the Mutas did what they had to do, and that's deal with the Hellbats.
He has a few Banshees in the mix, which, good move. And these Hellions could be rather scary, depending on how many Queens are at that base.
Plus,
setting up Liberation Zones. Is still losing SCVs, though. Nice micro by Mechanics.
Yep. Trying to do his best to avoid those liberation zones. +1 flyer attacks is done for those Corruptors, so that's going to help a little bit. I like the infestation pit, by the way.
Beautiful. Like, what do you hate playing against as Mech or Sky Terran? It's fungal. Fungal and bile. Like, one missed move and you're done.
Yeah. I like that he already took his forward base over here on the left top side as well. Don't want to take it too close to the Terran base, because then you're going to have to deal with Liberators all the time, and if you don't have control of the skies, then you just can't mine of that base. So I think it's better to take it here. Even though it's a little bit harder to defend against Hellions, well, he's got the Roaches in position already.
Sortof's defending really, really well. His counterattacks are phenomenal. A fusion core, so that's got to be for Liberator range, unless... Do you think he's going DCs with this? I mean, anything's possible at this point, right?
Absolutely, anything is possible. I'm not going to rule it out. But I think it's advanced ballistics at first, and probably Cloak as well. I mean, obviously he could already go Cloak, but maybe Banshee Speed.
Banshee Speed could be cool, actually, like harassing bases around the map.
That's what I meant.
You don't often see this kind of Terran being played. I think that's enough Liberators, and they have an upgrade to deal with these Mutas. I mean, Corruptors now.
Yeah, he's got to split these Corruptors a little bit. They were a tiny bit clumped up. A couple of them took a lot of damage. Of course, you got to avoid those balls. Fungo is not out yet. There are no infestors on the map. I mean, Sortof is getting a little carried away. He has to be careful. He's played a great game so far, but you don't want to throw it away. You don't want to lose too many of the expensive units.
Okay, what's that upgrade that's coming out? I think the icons actually changed.
Yeah.
Hyperbolic flight. So
that must be a Banshee Speed, right?
Yeah, given it's one that I've never seen before.
No, they updated all the little ports. I think advanced ballistics changed as well. And I was like, man, it looks fancy now. They all look very good.
Yeah, do you remember Stim when it first came out? It's just this little yellow needle.
They've changed.
Then it turned into this blue flashy thing, and it's like, whoa.
They changed the colors as well of the Protoss upgrades, right, over time. Like once upon a time was like, you know.
I remember there was a Reddit thread talking about how the blue and the green looked pretty much the same, so they changed it to make it like very obvious.
Yeah, a lot of the portraits changed over time. That one looks really cool with the bench. I have no idea what it is from here, but it looks awesome.
Infestors make this so much
like
scarier, though.
A cylinder, maybe?
But like, Infestors make this army so much harder to deal with and like to micro. This was a nice little counter, though.
You remember we saw a sick game at Katowice, the WCS Winter Championships, which I think it was between Marine Lord and Violet.
Yeah.
On Laralac Crest?
It was Laralac Crest.
Yeah, that was such a great game.
It started off so good for Marine Lord, but Violet knew exactly how to deal with it. In fact, that's one thing that makes Violet a very good player. His on-the-fly decision-making is very, very key.
And that was a game that, you know, right now is a little bit similar to this one, where we did see Liberation, or lots of Liberators. We saw Cloak Banshees as well, and then eventually trying to deal with Viper and Corruptor.
I'm going to say something about the upgrade choices by Sortof here. He's going for attack, which I disagree with quite a lot, when the main anti-air is Liberators, and when your Corruptors already start off with base 2 armor, I believe, you should always just go for armor. Like, the best thing against Phoenixes, rather than like...
a lot of Banshees, man, and Banshees have a lot of DPS. Yeah, this hatchery is most likely going to get sniped very, very quickly. Sortof can't see it either, as Cloak has also been researched.
Now he can.
I mean, if he gets all the Banshees here, he's going to try to change Fungo a couple of them. Where are the remaining Corruptors? If he only gets... This is not bad. I think it was a good investment for Major. He lost 3 Banshees.
But the 12 drones makes it actually worth it as well.
Completely worth it. And man, Banshees
they get away.
Have so much DPS.
Are they?
Excellent.
How fast are they? They are... oh, did you see that in their jets too? They have like little fire come out of their... you see it?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool.
We're living StarCraft all over again. I didn't notice that before. No. 3 more drones dead. And Major, really cool. Like, I don't know how he's going to deal with this, honestly.
I agree, by the way, with the point you were making before the Banshees decided to snipe that hatch. I also think that Corruptors, if they survive, they're already dealing the damage that you're looking for. Because as long as the Zerg army survives with Queens, Corruptors, and a couple of Vipers, you know you'll clean it up. It's more about keeping your units alive because they do plenty of damage, right?
Yeah.
Then trying to do even more damage, but take the risk of losing all of them. I think armor is probably a better choice than attack.
Yeah. Also, when you're dealing with anything with like 2 attacks against you, which is the Liberators and the Vikings, it's nice to have that armor is like twice as valuable.
Yeah, it stacks up.
He's going to go for the hatchery. Smart move. I thought he was going to go for all. In fact, he should just hold position micro here, just kill the close drones and such too.
Well, I mean, Major is absolutely getting a couple of points on the board in the last minute and a half or so. Sortof is obviously taking his sweet time, and he's just trying to get the ultimate army composition that he's been looking for. But he's taking a couple of pretty expensive losses.
The thing is...
Why is he building that command center there? Is there something burrowed, or is it...
Yeah. I mean, a nice move would be to unburrow that and
I don't
kill
think
it,
he
but
can
you can't
see
see
it.
it. No,
Yeah.
your vision's less.
You have like no vision at all from your burrowed Zerglings. We can take a look at sort of his vision, but I don't think he can see. Nope.
+3 air weapons is now finished for Major, so these units are going to start dealing a lot of damage. The Banshees, the Vikings, the Liberators, all of them.
Oh. He didn't
nice
even
cancel.
see it, and he still
They just
canceled.
felt it.
Yeah.
There's nothing here to defend against these Hellions.
And the thing is, though, Sortof has never been that rich. Like, we sometimes see Hellion drive-bys when the Zerg player is already sitting at 2,500 or 3k minerals in the bank, and it doesn't hurt all that much. But Sortof has never had more than 400 or 500 minerals, you know? Or at least not unless he was saving for something.
These turrets are really nice, by the way. I mean, the Corruptors, they can fly over them and still deal a lot of damage, but...
Yeah, well, we still got a couple of Liberators in the mix as well, so Baal should eventually be able to take care of this. Hellion's going to drive by over here as well, but there is a Spinecrawler defending it.
It depends where he holds position with these Hellions. These could be so much more
a couple
effective.
of Adducts being used. I'm not sure what got put in. I believe a couple of Liberators.
The Banshees, they're going to snipe the Infestors. Great move by Major. That is so much air. Sortof's melting.
And Sortof is losing a lot. I mean, I do think that the Parasitic Bomb did quite a bit of damage to the majority of these Vikings, but there are still more Vikings remaining, and all of the Corruptors went down, and once again, Sortof doesn't have that much money in the bank.
Oh my god,
Wow.
Major just absolutely decimated him. The Banshees flew in, they sniped the Infestors. Parasitic Bombs went off, sure, but there's no major fungals.
And I feel there weren't that many Corruptors either. Like, it just felt like they all disappeared pretty quickly. How many Corruptors died in this game? 23.
You're against +3 Liberators and Vikings, and you have no armor
No
upgrades.
armor, yeah.
It really does come down to that, and now he's like, oh, wait.
I also don't think he should have gone that deep, like that far off creep. I think it's a little bit risky, and Major had that base before he had his fort. Like, why do you want to take that one? Because there was no planetary fortress there, but...
Not worth.
No.
He was out of position. He was fighting into turrets too.
Yeah, you're fighting in a very
liberation zones.
Yeah, you're fighting in your opponent's territory, very close to his reinforcements. He has all the time in the world to set up. You're off creep, and you're fighting a base that's almost mined out anyway. Like, that's not really a battle that you want or have to take, especially not once again without any armor upgrades.
Look at this too. This is just a nuisance, and really good player again. He's down to 52 drones at this point, so it's not as if he's not rich at all.
Parasitic Bomb.
And look at these units. Look how much damage they take. And that is because he's lacking those armor upgrades. Those big damage upgrades just melt his army.
Yep, Corruptors are absolutely melting away. There's nothing left. GG, Major wins Game 3 on Frost and takes a 2-1 lead in the series.
You know, I look at Lambo there. He's smiling. They're obviously teammates and such, but yeah, he has to be happy about seeing his teammate pull off a strategy like that. But in that fight, that could have been so scary. You know, when you see that air Terran army, all it takes is one fungal and a few biles and everything spirals out of control.
Like, it's starting to sound a little bit like a broken record here, but it really doesn't make sense to go for air upgrades when you already have all these other things that do so much damage. Corruptors do quite a bit of damage by themselves, so you don't even really need that damage boost.
They have a slow attack as well.
Yeah, they have a slow attack, but then you have Fungal that already does a lot of damage. You've got Parasitic Bomb that does a lot of damage. It's so much more important for the Corruptors to just stay alive rather than dealing a little bit of extra damage by having those flyer upgrades. And you make perfect points there. Not just the Viking, but the Liberated too. They attack twice, so armor upgrades are twice as important as they would have been against a unit that attacks once.
And we look at this fight again. Look how clumped up he is, but that is so many Vikings here. He just had a much better army, better upgrades. Look at this positioning too. And the Banshees on the left side, you don't even really get to see them that well, but they went in, they sniped off all those Liberators.
It's really cool to see Banshees not only being used to snipe a base, but actually swinging in from the north side and then sniping a key unit in the opponent's composition. That's something that we have barely seen. We have almost never seen the Banshee being used like that. I'm sure if David Kim was watching, he'd be very happy to see Banshee swing in like that, snipe a couple of key units.
With their little fire jets that we just noticed. Like, they were pretty damn awesome, but that was a man looking quite stressed out there, it must be said. And if he's... And one of the things about Sortof that we have to talk about, he's a practice beast, obviously, but going up against something that he's never seen before...
I think he has seen it before.
He may have seen it before, but
he didn't handle it that well. Like, there were definitely things. I mean, he got himself in a pretty good position, and I love the Mutalisk early on. I think that was a brilliant call by him, because maybe if he would have gone Corruptors there immediately, then he just wouldn't have enough on the ground to actually deal with those Hellbats.
Yeah, you're right, and I will credit Sortof for being decisive. He made a choice and he went for it. because that's always better than being like, is it okay if I do this? Like, you have to be decisive in your choice. And even though I think there was a better choice, going for way more Corruptors and armor upgrades and Infestors and such, sure. But, you know, how often do you play against that? That is not something...
not often. Not often, but he still got himself in a very playable position, in a very good position. And at one point, I really thought he was in control after he counterattacked with the links and he cleaned up all the hellbats.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And just a couple of late game arrows is where it went wrong for this man, hailing from Sweden. He's down 1-2. Tournament live on the line. Can he turn around? It is a Sortof.
A man that towers above his machine. He even sits with 2 chairs, and Sortof's not a small guy. But spawning on the opposite side as our blue Terran, playing for Team Invasion, it is Major.
Once again, we are... Whoa, was that an eBay that he had selected for a little... You saw that?
I didn't.
Huh, it felt like he was about to open eBay first. Not a
going
builder...
for the planetary, like, command center rush.
Not a very popular builder there on this level. But.
You know what? Like, this game, though, so far, he opened up gas first, then the barracks. And normally in most matchups, and you know this in TVP, they go for like a Widowmine drop or something straight away and it's annoying. But in TvZ, they started opting for a Reaper build and you just get the factory so much quicker. So it's turned into kind of a macro-centric opening, but you just get your tech quicker. So all these timings that Zerg had when they go up against the normal Reaper timing, they're like, okay, this should hit at X time, this should hit at Y time. No, this is kind of throwing things out of whack a little bit. So Zergs are, again, trying to learn against this new style. And combined with new maps as well, it's just a nice shift. Terran tend to, and we talked about it earlier, the aggressor on new maps and in new strategies, they are always the favorite.
Absolutely, but I do think that Galactic Process is a map that plays out a little more straightforward than the map we saw, you know, map number 1. Just because that one has more attack paths, and I think this map is so similar to Cloud Kingdom in a way. Like, I really feel this is just a modern version of Cloud Kingdom, a better one. But the first 3 bases are very similar, and Cloud Kingdom was around in a time that Sortof was playing a lot of StarCraft, crazy amounts. I mean, that was part of NHL Season 4 when he had his big run. So I definitely think that this is a map that Sortof is going to feel a little bit more comfortable on than he did on Apotheosis.
You're right. This is a map that I think everybody feels more comfortable on.
Yeah, it's just like you look at it, and even though it's new,
it's a square.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you look at it, it's like, kind of the same color as Cloud Kingdom, except the minerals don't sparkle and glow out of control. Yeah, it's comfortable. And immediately, this Reaper, it's the dance. It's the dance that happens at the start of every game. Although that's a few extra links than you normally see. Is that 8 on the field?
Yep.
Okay, so you can actually deflect this Reaper with 4. And you can be totally fine. But the fact that he's gone for 8, like 6 is reasonable too, but 8, that's almost too much. That might be a little bit of an error.
Might be because he's already anticipating maybe an Overlord drop later on. Like he wants to just deal with his Reaper, shut it down. He's going to get it. And maybe I think we're going to see a relatively quick Evo. I think he wants to drop a couple of links when the Hellions make their way across the map.
That's the feeling that's going to happen?
That's the feeling that I'm getting from Mr. Bergman.
I mean, there is also one nice thing about this map. If we look at the far right side, there were rocks removed from this running path. So we see the SCV there immediately. So maybe that's where he's going to start building his initial wall. Who knows? And yes, it will be. So Major. Definitely.
These are also like the most fancy rocks that we've ever seen.
You know,
like
when I first saw them, I was like, man, is it that Guardian Shield? Are my Marines going to do less damage or something?
I mean, it doesn't even have a name. It's just called Destructible.
Oh, really?
Hardened material. 3 armor. Lots of armor. It's going to take a while.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Banshee opening over here. That's interesting. And once again, Bergman sees the exact same thing as that he saw in a previous game where it were just Liberators. There was nothing weird about this opening. This time, however, it's a Cloak Banshee. Is the Overlord still on top of the Tech Lab? Can we take a look?
Yeah.
Yes. So he sees it spinning, but it could also be a fake. I mean, Terran players have often faked out. Zerg's like, hey, here's the Tech Lab, it's spinning. You know, I'm going Cloak Banshee, better overreact. And then obviously he didn't. I felt like this was so obvious that I don't think that Sortof is actually expecting Cloak Banshee.
I think you might be right, but the thing is, do you invest in like 2 Spore Crawlers in your like 2nd and 3rd bases just to deflect the possibility? Because, you know, that can potentially be game. And yes.
Well, he's throwing up 1 Spore at least.
1 Spore in his main, actually.
Hey, Cloak got cancelled though.
It did get cancelled. That's what I mean. So it was a nice little trickaroo by Major.
Yeah, but Sortof is not overreacting. He's not throwing up 4 Spores or something.
No,
so.
you're right. So they're both smart.
But the moment that Sortof will see this Banshee, he might be like, oh, don't tell me that this is actually going to be a multiple cloak Banshee opening. Hellions are starting to show up. Picked up one of these creep tumors here. Is this the base with a spore?
No, it's his main base with the spore. And that's why I talked about where you put the spores if you make them. On this map, you put them on the exterior bases.
It's already doing quite well, though. I mean, the fact that it doesn't cloak should give sort of the right idea that... Okay, only 3. I thought I was going to get like 5 or 6.
That was kind of bad in all honesty. That should have got like a good 5 or 6.
Yeah, because it was exposed, right? Like the queens were out of position. It really felt like I don't think there's any purpose in trying to save a Banshee like that.
No.
Especially not against a 7-range queen when you're obviously not planning on having more Banshees. Like just let it die. Send it in with a mission and just take down everything you can take down.
He already committed. Yep. You don't commit and then get out of there. Like, you know, if you're going to get locked up, you're going to die. You might as well get all you can.
Man, can we just compliment the consistent scouting of these speed overlords? Like, often you see people open up with speed overlords, but then they send it in once, and then they still get surprised later on. Sort of invest in it, and obviously it's a pretty reasonable investment you have to make early on, but he's using it non-stop, and I really feel that he absolutely knows what he's up against.
He's put the upgrade to good work, and look at these queens. They are here really damn fast.
Oh, a couple of queens alone HP though. Good transfuse. Excellent transfuse by Sortof.
Man, this is definitely a more comfortable map for Sortof, and you said it earlier, like this is a map that Sortof's played time and time again. Not on this version, but Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, and in many ways it is
shows.
similar. Yep.
You know, he knows where he's going to get attacked. I'm kind of a little surprised they didn't make a wall there, an entire wall, just to stop Hellion run-bys, but Hellions aren't going to be on the map forever, and if you did set up tanks or something on that side and you couldn't get to them, that'd be more frustrating. So
I don't mind that there's no wall, but I would absolutely love to see an Overlord like deeper down on the path, because I feel like he sees, you know, he has a little bit of vision, but that's still just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, put it at the ramp, you know, where you can run up.
A little bit more north, but, you know, for now,
that'd be perfect, yeah.
Still has vision.
There's been no Viking. Like, Major's not gone for the Viking strategy where you go, like, hunt down Overlords and such.
Yeah, maybe that's because he knows that there is Overlord speed and that he knows that at best he's going to get, like, 1 Overlord.
Possibly. Like, Overlord speed does make things a little bit tougher. We'll be getting a few drones here, which is decent.
Queen 7 range from downtown.
8 range, mate.
Not this one. 8?
It's 8.
It went from 7 to 8. Wow.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. Thank you, Dave.
Snoot, be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, so upgrades are finishing for Sortof. So currently, if they were to have a fight, despite there not being that many Lings in his composition, I don't believe... Is it mainly Roaches or is it mainly Lings? Mainly Queens, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a little bit of everything, but mostly Queens. But I mean, he doesn't have that many Queens, though. He's got a couple, but we're not looking at a ridiculous, stupid amount of Queens. I would love to see an extra Ravager or two, because just one bow I don't find very intimidating. This actually is kind of tricky to fight off creep. There's a lot more micro potential in the army of Major than there isn't in the army of Sortof.
Okay. +1/+1 has finished now. And we talked yesterday about
wow, that's a fast Ultralisk cover, by the way. Holy hell.
And
7 minutes and 57 seconds ban. That's super fast.
And what does Major do about this?
He's going to drop everywhere, and he's going to try to hit before Kindness Plating kicks in.
That's his only hope right now.
I think
the clock is on.
Sortof should absolutely make nothing but units, because he should know that if he makes it to Ultras this fast in the game, without taking too much damage from whatever Major is going to try to do in the next minute and a half, he's going to be in an absolutely phenomenal position. His 2-2 upgrades are faster than the 2-2 upgrades of Major.
A lot faster, but...
They're a little bit exposed as well.
Yeah, they're very
this would be a great snipe for Major if he can get it. Nope. He only unloaded 1 medevac. That's very strange.
Bit of a mistake.
Good split up at least by Major. Could have been a lot worse, but...
That one too is pretty decent, actually.
Razabal will take care of at least one of these medevacs. Man, Sortof is looking... It's so sick. Like, Sortof looks terrible in game 1. Obviously, he didn't know the map. Looks fantastic in game 2. Little silly in game 3. And then phenomenal in game 4 again. It's definitely a roller coaster ride so far for him in this series. But this has just been a phenomenal game. I mean, how much is Sortof losing?
The Extractor is taking a beating from that Queen.
I mean, that would have been like the first thing he lost in the game.
The Extractor? He killed himself?
He's played so well.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's a little sloppy, but still.
Big deal. He can afford to lose it.
Absolutely.
But you're right, he's playing solid, and here, even killing this Widowmine, remembering the spot in the creep that he had to shoot. It's just very nice, clean play by Sortof overall.
Using the Widowmines to do some damage on the medevac. Even if it didn't work out, they still only killed 1 Ling. There is a small drop in the main base. Obviously, this medevac's going to get picked up by the Queen. Come on. Come on, Queen.
Like, Major's doing everything he can.
Dropping.
Queen?
So close. Man, I feel for these Terrans. All their medevacs, like,
I
they're
feel
gonna hang in there for their dear life. Like, hold on, fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Queen's located.
Do you know one of the funny things about this particular game too? Major didn't really stop attacking, but just couldn't do anything, and Ultras still got out. And he's ahead in upgrades. Kite played is going to hit 2.
Let's go.
You have a very strong army now, Sortof. What are you going to do with it? Honestly, he doesn't really need to do that much either.
No, I would like to get my 3-3 upgrades if I was Sortof, just stabilize on my 4 bases. And, you know, if the Terran wants to keep attacking into me, I mean, obviously, I like the way that Major is playing too. Don't get me wrong, we're giving a lot of credit to Sortof. And I love the pressure that Major is putting on. He's looking for openings and he's doing his absolute best left and right. But Sortof is just playing very solid.
Very, very solid.
Does he have a fungal?
+3 starts for our Zerg earlier than the +3 for the Terran. That's always a bad sign. They are Widow Mines here, and this is... he just can't deal with that army. He deals no damage.
Well, the fact that that medevac actually made it into the main base. Maybe these Marines and Marauders can start working on the Ultralisk cover, and there's still Liberators in the natural too. Major is somehow finding an opening after just kind of running into this concrete wall that has been Sortof for the last 3-4 minutes. Major has somehow broke it a little bit.
Great play by Major.
Yeah,
He's just taxing Sortof's multitasking left, right, and center.
Yep, and look at Sortof. He doesn't have that much money in the bank, losing the Ultralisk cover, and that's very, very painful in this phase in the game. What I also like from Major is that he doesn't allow Sortof his creep to get out of control. Man, Major is playing also an absolutely phenomenal game. There's no +3 melee on the way, by the way. Sortof just has no money for it.
Well, there's no +3 at all on the way for Major, so
yeah, that's true.
Maybe it won't be too bad. I mean, this could be a nice position against Ultralisk, but he needs to he needs to get that +3 weapons on the way. If you go against Ultras and your Marauders are literally doing like 8 damage per hit, which is what will happen, he's in bad shape.
The point of the Spire, do you think it's just a couple of Corruptors to deal with these Liberators and medevacs, or do you think we're going to see Broodlords eventually?
I think Corruptors initially into Broodlords. I mean, if he keeps on making these Widow Mines, which he is, Broodlords are obviously the perfect counter to Widow Mines.
I mean, what do you think? Sortof has been sloppy with his Infested. That's not the first time. How many Infesteds have died this game? I think it's like 8 or 9? 6.
And that's a beautiful number to keep down, given that there hasn't been a major fight go on anytime soon.
I also feel, you know, like I know that this has been an argument that has been had multiple times, or a debate, I should say, during Homestead Cup, but Fungo, like, don't you think researching pathogen glands is completely worth it at a certain point? He doesn't have it, right?
I don't believe he does, and
like, the Zergs just refuse getting it. Like, I understand if you have a very tight build order, while we see Ultras engaging into Marines and Marauders, all those corrosive balls splashing all over the bio, and now these Ultras getting a couple of very sweet volleys off. Like, I know that in some builds where you're rushing up to Ultras, it's all very tight. But I think eventually, if you have 4 bases up and running, you're getting your 5th base, I really think it's an upgrade worth investing into.
I know what you're saying, and a Zerg player might know better than me, but it is much scarier harassing a base where the potential for an Infestor popping out that can instantly fungal me, then you can kill that drop that I'm harassing with. That is much scarier.
Yeah.
And like at this point in time, you have 1 less Infestor, but it means every Infestor from this point on will have more energy.
Yeah, so you're agreeing with me.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just giving a circumstance in which it definitely is always better. Which is, yeah, when you're harassing, if you have Infestors popping out, which this one popped out and it just got instantly killed and it couldn't have done anything. Yep. This is a really nice Ling run by, though. That could deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, these Liberators are kind of terrifying, though. Not sure if we have any Corruptors on the map. These Lings definitely doing a lot of damage. Adrenal Gland's about to finish up. At the same time, Major is dropping. There are just fights happening all over the map. Good corrosive balls connecting. That's a lot of Zerglings, by the way, Ben. That's not something you deal with just a couple of Marines that pop out of these barracks, especially not without 3-3. The Nidus is taking quite a bit of damage, but the Roaches will take care of these Marauders. I like the wall up there, or at least raising the depots. That's very smart.
Oh, these Lings are getting everywhere, though. And
forcing Major to come all the way back to this side of the map. That's great for Sortof. That's absolutely what he wanted.
And Sortof takes down these rocks, too, meaning his Ultras can get up there without being funneled into a little choke. Lots of depots died, too. Those walls, they were made of depots, and now he needs to reinforce. During this time, he can't produce units. His economy's been absolutely shattered.
This is one of the very first time we see Sortof be aggressive on this map, 14 minutes into the game. But the very first time he was aggressive, I would say he did devastating amounts of damage. He took down the ramp. He was able to kill multiple SCVs, you know, like 10, 15, delayed the 5th base, and above all, he forced Major to go all the way back.
Oh, no, the Biles.
That's sweet.
Oh, more Biles. And perfect Biles, 3 per Liberator. That's what you need to take them down. And this army, this is very fungalable.
That's a word?
It is now. I mean,
I like it.
It fell off the tongue so nicely, but
Yeah,
this
no,
Nidus,
I love the sound of it, man. It's a word that I would have made up.
this Nidus though, this is what's really going to start crippling Major. He can't. So he's which fifth is he taking? That forward fifth?
Yeah, very, very close towards the creep. Couple of roaches we all know in main base. I would say go for those add-ons immediately. That's what I guess hurts the most in this phase in the game.
Add-ons.
Oh, good fungo.
Good
Got
fungo.
2 medevacs full of bio units.
And
What a great game. And this series, man, it is as close and competitive as we predicted here on the desk before it started. Even though, you know, the first game was a little bit one-sided, ever since then I really think it's been an excellent back-and-forth fight. There was one moment in this game where I really felt like, oh my god, is Major doing this after he sniped the Ultralisk Cavern? But then Sortof finally started attacking. And once he started, man, I feel like it never stopped.
Never stopped, never took his foot off the gas. And here, GG. Sortof is now 2-2 against Major. This is a series that
I love it.
A lot of people probably felt like, oh yeah, this will be okay. But this has been really high-level TvZ.
Yeah, this is one of these series where the pro gamers are more excited about it than, I guess, the average community member that doesn't see that much. And you can't blame the people at home for it because, you know, Sortof, other than
How
his
often
great...
do you hear about these people?
Yeah, exactly, right? How often do you see Sortof play? Yeah, hey, a great run in Challenger. Well, everybody gets lucky once. And Major, like, yeah, Major used to be good, but he hasn't really done that much anymore. But no, they're still very active. Sortof is in the best shape of his career. Major is finally, like, you know, in the round of 16 of an offline event, showing, you know, he's in relatively good spirits. So maybe this time he did travel well. Maybe he's feeling great. And that just makes for an awesome series on paper, if you know these guys well. And I think they're delivering. I mean, the game on Frost was awesome. The last game was awesome. I'm starting to like where this series is going.
You know, as a fan of StarCraft, I'm just liking TvZ. Like, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see the Terran being aggressive and the Zerg holding off. And in this series, we've
How
seen
different, though.
I mean, the Sky Toss and the Sky Terran was really crazy, like, especially. But yeah, and there were moments of brilliance from their Major where I was like, oh man, he's dead. But then he started dropping, there was Liberator Us going on. He actually made the drone count drop below 50 and such, and was still in kind of decent shape. I think this is around this zone. Look, just snipes off a infested there.
Should have had Pathogen.
If it had Pathogen.
Instant Fungo across the ball, GG. Both medevacs die. Now, I love the relentless aggression we saw from Major. Sometimes there is absolutely moments where I feel, you know, people are getting carried away with their aggression and they should just take a breather and take it easy. But it made sense because Major realized he was fighting a superior composition. If he just sits back, he's going to face a near invincible army that he just can't deal with. So there was no other choice for Major than to be relentless and keep on going. And it really felt like, oh my god, it's happening, you know, like he's actually finding openings. It's snowballing out of control. But right on that moment, sort of stabilized. But Ben, game 5, it's going to be played on Dazon Station. I think this is the very first game that I'm casting on this map and the very first time I've seen it this tournament.
It's the first time I've seen a TvZ on it, at least a high-level TvZ, and I'm looking so forward to it. So spawning in the top left side of Dazon Station, as our Red Zerg, it is invasion. I mean, sort of. Screw my intro. I'm too excited.
And on the right bottom side, or right middle side, I guess it is, because it's not really in the right bottom, hailing from Mexico, representing Invasion eSports, it is Major.
Man,
what a map.
We're going to have to look at this map a little bit and just look how closely these guys spawn to each other. So with our observer showing us the middle of the map, now if we can slowly see where this base is, that is the middle of the map. That is how close you spawn. That Overlord is almost at his base. And what's at the bottom of this ramp? In fact, that's the back natural, so you get that. But the bottom of your ramp, there's a gold base, which can be harassed from the other side.
And can eventually be a path open up to the other side as well. Like, this base is crazy. This map is crazy. You know, a week or two ago, before these maps were introduced, or before it was even announced, I played 11, 12 games in a row on all these maps of the Team Liquid map making contest. And, you know, to tell you the God honest truth, I was like, hey, this map is good, this map is good. Then I played on this one. I was like, sorry, Avex, this map sucks. And he's like, oh, don't worry, man, I didn't make it. I was like, okay, good. I was like, sorry. I mean, obviously it was different because it had this tiny little choke here where the SCVs right now, there were 2 metal bars in a weird way.
I saw a few wine videos from our main salty man, Nathanius.
Yep, obviously they removed this, so the map became a little bit better. But I was like, okay, this map is a little bit too crazy. But it got introduced. We're here now, we played on it, and I was like, you know, sometimes a map that I'm not a fan of at all early on actually turns out to be a map that I kind of enjoy. Arena was one of them. I thought Arena was really stupid at first, but the more I played Arena, the less I disliked it. And you know, maybe I'll come around with this map as well. But it's going to be crazy, man, and I'm absolutely not going to make any predictions because I have no idea what to expect.
Me neither. And immediately, look, Major's expanding forward
To the gold.
to the gold.
So now I feel like this kind of gives me, what was that map called again, man? Where you always took the gold against, you floated your main to the low
Was it
ground.
Habitations? No,
Not Habitation. Damn it, the map where SOS made the Tempest. I keep forgetting. Moonlight, no, not Moonlight Madness.
Was it a 2-player map?
Yeah, you did it against Red over and over again. Like you floated your main from the main to the
You
low
were top
ground.
right and top left, weren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
And the golds were closer to the middle.
Yes, and then you would always one base all in.
Yeah, it was the best strat for a while. Like, I remember Rhett got so mad at me, and he's much bigger than me in person too. So, yeah, there was a lot of threats being made. But here, look at this too. We've got the bunker. And how do you attack the back? Like, how do you actually send units around the map? So how far do they have to go? Around this track here, all the way around, and where do they end? So they get to that gold.
You can get
then they get to rocks. Is that the only way? How do you get around the bottom? Oh, I mean, so you always have to go through rocks eventually.
Yeah. You have to take down. I mean, obviously, otherwise the pass would be wide open. That would be terrible.
So there's no way to abuse this gold.
I mean, you
Like,
don't
you
have
can only
to.
come through the front really as a Zerg, right?
No, you can go via the back. You can have like if he makes a couple of roaches and he sends the roaches through, you know, his low ground, they can just show up on the other side of the mineral line.
Yeah, and that'd be tough to deal with actually.
Yep, just a couple of roaches
okay,
there.
look at this though. We have tanks coming out and the super fast lair. Like that is a ridiculously fast lair. Normally we've seen. Do you think it's going to be a Spire to?
I actually don't know. I was gonna say maybe Spire could also be a crazy Nidus play, but I guess we would have already seen the Roach one. So Spire it is. Well,
You know-
yeah.
Spire, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he knows how good Tankovacs are on this map, given that you spawn so close. Tankovacs would also shut down that Roach play behind the mineral line.
And
if there
super
was that.
annoying actually to maybe chase Mutalisk if they start harassing that gold mineral line from the other side, because obviously there's no turrets there, and there could only be one turret, so Mutalisk can just dip in and out over and over again. And just try to one-shot a couple of SUVs.
Okay, so you can also take this back third without trouble. Queens are in correct positions, sure.
And tanks are not gonna, no, you're not even close, so.
No. I mean,
this is not going to do anything at all. And the most important thing, obviously, for Sortof here is that Major doesn't see the Spire. This is a very, very big deal.
it's a massive deal, and if you can keep that private for quite some time, that almost that was a Brood War tank effect, right? Like the sound.
I didn't hear.
Oh wow, okay.
I mean, how do you know? You're a Warcraft 3 player, man. Why are you betraying your roots?
I don't portray my roots. I just loved watching Brood War VODs. I was a big Reach fan. What the hell? Okay, he sniffed something out. Did he just cancel his barracks?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay, so what? So he cancelled his barracks. He's going to go for double Liberator, surely.
What is this? Why is he marching the Queens to the other side of the map?
Honestly, this is one of those games where I'm sad that I'm commentating, so I just want to sit and enjoy it and see what happens.
I mean, right now, Sortof doesn't have that many units. He's making 5 Mutalisks, but that's really not all that many. He needs to bring those Queens back, man. I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Sortof, where are your units? This is a nitro push. I mean, Stim is obviously not done yet. He needs to bring the Queens and he needs to make a few more links. Obviously, it's important for Sortof that he doesn't lose that many drones here and keep your Queens alive. Spawning pool could potentially be a target. The Mutas do hatch, though, man. Lings are going to try to do some splash damage on top of these Marines. The Queens are just so beef. Queens are so good, Ben.
Queens are so good, but what I really liked about Major's play in that fight, he actually focused by the Queens with his tanks rather than the Lings and friendly firing.
But they're still so good. Only one Queen died.
Queens are disgusting. And
excellent hold by Sortof.
Great hold. And now, how does he deal with these Mutas?
Turrets.
He's got turrets, nice.
Liberators.
Even a bunker. Microing that Liberator very carefully too. No. Oh, whoa. This is a mistake though. This turret won't be able to get up and...
yes, the bunker there. Wow, look at that one Liberator splashed over all the Mutalisks. Trying to buy some time. Mutalisk going to try to intercept one of these Liberators. It's getting very close. Mutalisk going to chase it. Does not get it though. And now he can repair it.
Major micro. Now he's on the wrong side. He wants to actually just deny mining here for as long as he can. He should just continually mule up this back base here.
Well, I think these Mullers are going to try to jump on top of that turret. Major should be aware of this, though, so get your SFVs ready to repair this turret.
The Mutas are getting lower and lower. Now he's almost got Stim now, and he's producing several Marines at a time.
You know what I would like? Okay, he's working on these depots. Obviously, Sortof wants to keep this ramp available, so he can start running Lings and Banelings via the left side of the map. He's probably going to work on his own rocks if he didn't take them out already, and then he could potentially run Lings and Banes into the third base over and over again.
Honestly, Zerg should always kill rocks on this map, just from what I've seen so far, because...
he was working on it.
Yeah, like, they do not benefit a Zerg in any way possible. The only thing that they benefit is a Terran having tanks on the low ground and Marines on the high ground. So get rid of those things. And Major's kind of supply blocked here.
But what do you do with all these Mutalisks now, when you know the Liberator count is growing higher and higher?
And he's still making... He's gambling. He's taking a chance here. He's hoping that
he's going to split his Mutalisk. He's going to have to pull on Idra. You remember Idra's video? He's like, Terran micro is silly. He's splitting Marines. I do that with air units. Well,
yeah.
That's what Sortof needs to do right now.
I do love that video.
That's one of the best videos on YouTube. Watch it every month.
Every month.
When I feel down, it's like, I need something to cheer me up. I need Greg to show me how everybody else is terrible.
Oh, this is a great run by, though. You did talk about those rocks, and this is exactly what he's doing, and totally taken off guard.
And this also has to do with the Mutalisks taking down those depots. The Major was distracted. He has been like distracted with other...
What? Just killed his own turret and losing all these SCVs. Major's falling apart.
Wow, Sortof is starting to do a ridiculous amount of damage in the main base and in the third base. What is Major going to do? He's just going to pull... What are the Liberators? Okay, Liberators are going to try to keep that gold base safe. But these links, the fact that Major did not complete that wall up...
Uh-oh.
Oh, just careful there, Sortof. You said he's gambling. Well, if he jumps on top of Liberators like that, he's not just rolling the dice, man. He's playing Russian roulette.
Yeah, he's kind of revealed what he's doing, too. There's no fourth base on the...
He gets a couple Liberators. There's one turret there, but Sortof does not care. He's showing no respect. How many Liberators do we have? Just one?
He killed two.
Wow,
so
there's just one left. He can jump on that.
Yeah, he definitely can. I mean, there's a few Marines on the field. Where are these? He's coming down the middle now. There's so many spots that Mage has to... Oh, this cannot be breached, though. Not with what he has. Oh, he's just... Has quite a few links that just died.
It looked very dicey for Major at first, but slowly but steady, Major is stabilizing. He still hasn't completed this wall up, though, and he has no eyes on the map whatsoever. So this is kind of like one of your nightmares. You know units are coming from left and right. You're just not sure which angle. But I do love that bunker. I love that turret.
I'd almost put another turret in the mineral line just to be safe, you know.
I think he's okay for now. I'm surprised that Sortof never decided to take his gold. I mean, even the fifth base is not going to be his gold.
Oh, there's still a big army, though.
I like this.
He almost needs a bunker in his back wall just to make things a little bit tougher for Sortof.
Oh, look at the Marines in the middle of the map trying to sandwich these mutas, but Sortof saw it.
The rally point, though, there's a few mutas meeting their death here.
Now Major is actually going to just attack, while Sortof is going to attack on the other side of the map. This game is going to go crazy, Ben.
It's going to go very crazy, and the upgrade advantage is definitely in Major's favor.
He right-clicked. The Banelings and Zerglings turned around. Okay, now Major's bringing more and more units here as he's realizing what is going on. These Liberators will get picked up. The tank is very exposed.
Tank's super exposed, but where's Major's army? He's running back on the main.
He's turning around.
But these Banelings, they're close to the tank. They're close to the tank. They're not running for the third base, and they all die miserably. That's a lot of SCVs falling, though.
Well, 21 SCVs. As long as Major is producing, or excuse me, Sortof is producing units on the other side of the map, I think this was good. One big problem, though, he lost a lot of Mutalisk in this entire exchange. I don't know.
Yeah, that is not a fleet anymore.
Nope.
And this is going to get sniffed out straight away.
Okay, so army supply, Major currently in the lead, 84 against 82, but Sortof has way more drones, has a way higher income. This is the push that pretty much, I mean, I won't say it has to do it for Major, but it needs to do something, that's for sure. I don't like this drop. I'm not a big fan of it.
It's not really going to do much. Yeah, you can kind of eliminate the mute count a little bit. Definitely don't waste those.
He can get the spawning pool is still super exposed. That's going to be one of the very first targets. You know what would be sick, by the way? Burrow. You know, a couple of burrowed Banelings like on the bottom of that ramp, that would have just been game ending.
Putting Banelings anywhere in the middle here would be pretty damn good. That's a lot of mutas again,
I think this is a map where we'll see a lot of burrowed Banelings because it's so obvious what is going to be the attack path that burrowed Banelings are almost always going to connect.
One attack path that will soon be utilized, I'm pretty sure, is behind the gold of Major. And you can even float over your gold to that east base, so your rally point moves across.
This is nice because he mined out the minerals. He can actually just bring units here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He can actually... I would move the gold base eventually. Oh, dear.
Missile turret's going to get picked off as well. The muta count is starting to look a little bit more healthy again for Sortof. Major realizing that, hey, if the mutas are in my base, the mutas are not defending on the other side of the map. So maybe this drop is going to be a little bit more promising. Lings and Banes are out of position. But there are a couple of Corruptors, though. I like that he leaves a couple Corruptors behind. I think that's cool.
It is nice. But these Marines definitely dealing a lot of damage. And one thing that Sortof definitely...
How many SCVs have died this game?
So, 57.
Muta's trapped a little bit. Most of them do survey. Yeah, Major should absolutely take out his rocks.
But the +2/+2 is going to finish much earlier for Major, and Sortof even missed out the +2 attack too. So those mutas.
He was under pressure, and he just doesn't have that much gas, and he lost a lot of mutas. He's only on 1 Evo. Yeah.
What's happening at the gold base? I just saw the red army meet him. Okay, okay. So that's being mined out. The main's mined out for Major too. Major's not got very good economy here
I think
whatsoever.
that the moment that the units are out of position, Major is actually going to go for the main. This is such a cool game. What a cool series. I love how this is coming to an end. Now, what is Sortof going to do? Is he going to go all in? Or is he actually going to bring units back? Is he going to sacrifice a few of these bases? I mean, the Liberators are going to be very, very hard to engage into. I would have loved to see a base trade from Sortof.
I think that would have been good, but he's got so many banelings here.
Yeah, but no, against Liberators though, Ben?
Oh, that's so many Marines. The 2-2's finished. If he splits this, he can win the game. Oh my, is it enough damage? Is it enough damage?
No,
so many
I
links
think
joining the fray.
Sortof, I think there's so much left for Sortof. More banelings streaming in as well. Sortof wins the game, wins the series. Wow. What do you say, man? What a sick performance. What a sick final game. And this is, once again, this is going to be one of these maps where, sure, for pro gamers, maybe it won't be that great. As a neutral spectator, pretty damn sweet.
You know, I liked it. And
I loved it.
You know, the thing is, Major didn't lose because of the map at all. He lost because he made mistakes and sort of played the map very well. We talked about, like, hey, we should kill these rocks and he should run around the map and, like, deal damage over here, deal damage there. And we saw how the map can work. Mining out that gold base very quickly gave Major another path to attack from. It just all...
And I love this setup. I love how Sortof gives himself an alley-oop, and he's harassing with the Mutalisk, and he shuts down those supply depots. Major being a little bit distracted, then kind of chasing those mutas around. And before Major could ever think again about finishing that wall off, that's when the first Lings and Bane showed up. And, you know, we spoke about Major being relentless in Game 4. This time it's the other way around. I mean, that's what I do love about that good old Ling Muta Bane. We don't see that much anymore, at least not in the European ZVT.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever you still see it and whenever it works, it's awesome, because instead of the Zerg just sitting back and waiting for the hive units, it's Zerg attacking, 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 and I think that's really fun to watch.
Yeah, got to credit Sortof. You know, like in the first game, he looked bad, but then he brought it back.
Yep.
He played.
I mean, the map, we spoke about it over and over again. Like, I think you'll hear him say it on the couch as well. He's like, I'm new on that map. I just don't know how to defend.
Yeah, and the Queens were out of position, then the Hellion swooped in. It was not a fun way to start off the series, but this game...
This game, though, man.
This game... You know, Mr. Mechanics took Major to a game that was pure chaos. Yeah. But it was Sortof that thrived in that chaos. He was constantly dealing damage. 57 STVs down. And in fact, that number increased by the end of the game because he attacked the gold base. Then he flanked him from both sides, like through Major's gold base from behind. It was crazy to see. And it's beautiful to see Mutiling Bane back again, but also work in the way that it was meant to be played. Mobile, harass you. I'm going to be the aggressor rather than always defending. And the Queens, they can be that defending role now, you know? And then you can commit to Ling Bane, Ling Muta.
A couple of very subtle touches that I also really love with those couple of defensive corruptors, you know, while he's attacking. Because obviously you have units, you want to keep them together. You don't want to have Mutalisk and Corruptors flying around.
That was a smart move countered by a smart move. You know, like Major saw the Mutas on that side of the map. I'm going to drop you. Damn, there's Corruptors again. Like, it was very cool play by both of them.
Well, Smix is ready with our Swedish Zerg on the couch, who made it to the quarterfinals for the first time in a while. He's going to face Dario there, but I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this series. So Smix, it's all yours.
That was an absolutely phenomenal series. I think we'll actually get a replay of your reaction after you won, but I mean, first of all, yesterday when I spoke to you and I mentioned the possibility of either player you would face, it seemed you were pretty confident with whichever player that would come up. It did turn out to be Major, but that was a super intense series.
Yeah, it was really difficult. Like, Major is really good. We practice a lot usually on just custom games every day. But he's like really good in TvZ as well. And I feel really confident in TvT, but this series was, I feel really sloppy by the both of us. It was like a, I don't know, a knife fight, I guess.
When you're up against someone that you practice against so often, how much of it is mind games, I guess? Because obviously you guys, because you practice against each other, are very familiar with each other's play styles, the tendencies that you guys have. So what was that like?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the players. Like, for example, me and Major, we both are like...
There we go. That relief.
Yeah, I was really stressed out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like me and Major, we're both like kind of standard players. We don't really do anything out of the box too often. So then it's not that many mind games. Like, I'm going to be a little bit less likely to scout for proxies when I'm playing with the team and stuff like that. But in general, it's not that much. Like, just pretty straightforward.
Now, before we jump into the game-specific questions, I wanted to ask, between maps 1 and 2, the casters said this, it just felt like you were way more comfortable on Frozen Temple than Apotheosis, and I was wondering how much of that was because it was a new map and you just hadn't had that much time on it.
I'm sure it was some factor of it, like you're not used to like where do the headings come in, where do the drops come in, stuff like that. You're not completely used to it. Like if I'm playing on Frozen Temple, I have in my mind like, okay, the drops are going to come here and the Liberate's going to come here. Like that's something I practiced so many times against. But I guess overall, like I was just playing really sloppy, like in the first few games. I feel like I got a bit better towards the end, but it was still like a real slugfest. Like I made a lot of mistakes and he made some mistakes, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah, super back and forth series. Todd, was there any moment that you wanted to ask him about?
Just no. Generally speaking, in terms of ZVT, how do you feel about the matchup now that there's been the queen change coming in there, and in particular on the new map pool that I don't think too many people have played too much just yet on?
Yeah, CVT in general, I feel like it's been, at least for me, good for Zerg. But I've seen in Korea that Zergs are struggling, so I'm not sure if it is that the Korean turns are that much better. But in general, I feel like after the queen change now, even before I was doing quite well in CVT, I feel so. Yeah, it might be a Zerg favorite in Europe, but I would have to play versus Korean Terrans to really like judge that, you know.
And speaking of that, you've mentioned many times that you really would like to go to Korea and train there. Is there any update on that? Is that going to be happening anytime soon?
There's nothing planned, but I really want to go to Korea at least by the end of this year or early next year, sometime soon.
Okay, and the fact that you play very often with Major, when you were going to this series, did that make you confident, or were you worried because of the way your game usually goes? Who does better in practice, actually?
I think we're pretty 50-50 in practice, actually. But in general, I feel like comfortable in CVT. But after the first game, I felt quite nervous, actually, because I was playing really bad, and I thought if I play like this again, I'm not going to be able to win.
Okay.
Well, it went to all 5 maps, and on the last map, that was also really crazy too.
Yeah.
The casters were really enjoying it, because I think that for a lot of people, it was the first time watching a really high-level TvZ. So from your perspective, just walk us through the craziness that was that map.
So yeah, after he did his first like tank marine push, and I defended that kind of easily, then I felt really comfortable, and then I could start harassing with the mutas, drawing up my third, get the upgrades, and then I just I wasn't really scared of dying anymore, and then I could take complete map control and utilize the side paths a lot more. Usually if you're like not ahead, you have to play a lot more defensive and like be really scared of mid-game pushes through the middle with tank marine. But I was able to play like very comfortable in the mid-game because of the early game push.
I wonder, you're going to play TLO tomorrow.
Yeah.
Creativity versus mechanics. Who wins?
Also, yesterday you said that you just don't like ZVZ right now either. But I'm wondering, do you play TLO on ladder? What is that like?
Yeah, actually, like my recent tournament result versus TLO is really bad. I have like really low win rate versus him, but I feel like still like I can beat anybody in CVC. I don't feel like I can't win, but it's definitely worse for me than if I would have played versus Verdi.
Worse? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations again. You're moving on. That was a really tough series. I think we have another great series coming up, guys. It will be a ZVP Inertio versus PT Drogo, and that will be coming up after the break.